Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering panic as illegal diversity college scholarships get canceled nationwide. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. Coming from USA Today, after Supreme Court's affirmative action ruling, race-based scholarships under scrutiny. And from Chalk Beat, students worry about fate of some race-based scholarships after end of affirmative action. From Insight into Diversity, universities review legality of diversity scholarships. In Ohio, Ohio public colleges must eliminate race-based scholarships per Attorney General. In Texas, UT eliminates scholarship program for undocumented students following Texas's DEI ban. And in Missouri, University of Missouri system to end race-based scholarships after Supreme Court ruling. Over in Iowa, UI deans department heads grapple with diversity scholarship changes. And in Kentucky, Kentucky bill would ban college DEI and race-based scholarships. The Supreme Court decision is causing the end of a lot of discrimination in colleges, but it's not just in colleges, it's affecting industry, it's affecting all aspects of society. But in college in particular, students are getting concerned. Hey, are we going to keep getting these diversity-based scholarships? And for the most part, they're not interrupting existing scholarships, but they are targeting future scholarships. There's a massive rollback because it's not legal. From Chalk Beat, students worry about fate of some race-based scholarships after end of affirmative action. When Royce Griffin weighed his college options 2 years ago, scholarship offers played a big part in his decision. Griffin, who is black and hails from Jackson, Mississippi, chose the University of Missouri in large part because it offered him a scholarship that covered more than $20,000 a year in out-of-state tuition costs. Known as the Diversity Award, it's a scholarship given to high-achieving students from racial or ethnic backgrounds that are underrepresented at the university. So no white people. But in June, after Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey wrote in a letter that colleges had to adopt race-blind criteria for scholarships following the Supreme Court's ruling striking down affirmative action, the university announced it would not offer scholarships like the Diversity Award to future applicants. When Griffin found out about that decision, he worried it could limit opportunities for students of color. Quote, "It's a really important scholarship for us," said Griffin, a rising junior studying in the university's top-rated journalism program. Without that aid, he said, he couldn't have afforded to go to college outside of Mississippi. It puts us on that same playing field as our white counterparts. Now, that's a terrible thing to say because, no, it's not just because you have white skin doesn't mean you get to go to college anywhere, anytime that you want to. People need to be treated equally. The text of the Supreme Court ruling in the Harvard case is limited to college admissions and says nothing directly about scholarships. But many state officials and college leaders have interpreted the decision to include scholarships that consider a student's race as well, a view that some legal experts say could hold up in court. Officials with organizations that represent financial aid administrators and diversity officers in higher education are cautioning colleges to take their time in deciding whether the ruling applies to scholarships and to wait for forthcoming guidance from the federal government. So they're hoping the federal government steps in from the Department of Justice or the Department of Education and says, oh, ignore the Supreme Court, and then just rely on that and continue to offer legal scholarships to people based on their skin color or their gender or their sexual preferences. Meanwhile, there's uncertainty and confusion as many high schoolers gear up to apply to colleges and scholarships, and counselors try to help them figure out their options. Quote, "Programs like that, they benefit our students all the time," said Vanessa Lee, a Chicago teacher who spent the last 8 years advising students on their post-secondary options at Back of the Yards College Prep, a high school that serves mostly Latino students from low-income families. One state university comes to the high school to recruit aspiring Latino engineers, she said, while another local university recently gave a student a scholarship for black women pursuing careers in fields like science and math. If programs like those went away, Lee said, our students would not have as many opportunities. Okay, but you're taking those opportunities away from other people. That's the problem. You can't discriminate this way. Scholarships that consider race are in limbo. So far, the number of colleges that have announced concrete changes to their scholarship offerings has been small, though some legal experts and college officials expect more to follow. In states that previously banned affirmative action, college administrators and attorneys often interpreted state laws more broadly to include financial aid, noted Will Del Pilar, the senior vice president at the Education Trust and Education Civil Rights Group. Quote, "There was this kind of chilling effect on using race as institutional administrators. One, we were afraid of political backlash. And two, they were afraid of legal action, he said. We're really watching that. These people could be held personally responsible and be sued personally for mishandling these scholarships. Already the University of Missouri system, which includes the flagship university commonly known as Mizzou, and 3 other universities, has said it would no longer offer scholarships that take a student's race or ethnicity into consideration, though it will honor awards it gave previously to incoming and existing students like Griffin. The Diversity Award, for example, is no longer listed on Mizzou's scholarships page. The university system has notified 1,600 students that their previously awarded scholarships or grants that had racial requirements or preferences would be upheld, wrote Christian Bazzi, a spokesperson for the system, in an email to Chalkbeat. Griffin was relieved to find out his own scholarship was safe, but he saw the university's quick move to end race-conscious scholarships, while other Missouri colleges took time to deliberate, as another example of how the university was failing to support black students like him. People should not be thinking this way, that I'm black, why don't you do more for me because I'm white? Do more for me because I'm black? Do more for me because I'm Asian? No. Do as much as you can for all of us and base it based on merit. You can have hardship issues and write an essay about it, and that can be considered for scholarships, but not based on skin color. Already, he said, some students have shared on social media that the decision made them feel less welcome and more like Mizzou might not be the place for them. In an email, Bazzi said the university system made a speedy announcement because we knew we would be getting questions and calls from students and parents immediately following the ruling, and officials wanted to let incoming students know their financial aid wouldn't change as quickly as possible. The university system's statement about the scholarship changes, he added, specifically talked about how contributions from individuals with diverse backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives lead to making our university a better place to work, learn, and innovate. The University of Kentucky, meanwhile, has yet to notify students that it will honor previously awarded scholarships that took race into account after the university's president said it appeared that the Supreme Court's affirmative action ruling applied to both admissions and scholarships. Quote, "We're discussing that process and how to best do that in the near future," Jay Blanton, a spokesperson for the university, wrote in an email to Chalkbeat. Officials are reviewing whether to make changes to scholarship programs going forward. However, the end of scholarships, even small ones, could derail students. Given the current political climate, with ongoing efforts to ban diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in colleges and schools, and new laws restricting what schools can teach about race and gender, Del Pillar said there could be a slew of bills that target the use of race in colleges beyond admissions. 2 years ago, a conservative law firm sued the Wisconsin agency that oversees the state's financial aid system, arguing the grants it offered to Black, Native American, Hispanic, and some South Asian students were discriminatory and unconstitutional. That case was dismissed last year. But the president of the law firm that filed the lawsuit, Rick Eisenberg, said he thinks the Supreme Court's latest ruling would bolster their argument. "It's very difficult to see how the state wins that case now," Eisenberg told Inside Higher Ed. The Republican Speaker of Wisconsin State Assembly, Robin Vos, has said he plans to introduce bills this fall to correct the discriminatory laws that created those grants in 1985. For now, private scholarships that consider race and ethnicity haven't faced the same kind of pushback. The University of Missouri system, for example, said it will continue to accept scholarships from private organizations that consider a student's race, so long as the university was not involved in the selection process. Angelique Albert, the new CEO of Native Forward, a nonprofit that awards private scholarships to Native students, said her organization has been reassuring donors in the wake of the Supreme Court's ruling that their donations will still reach Native students. Her organization has also been reaching out to colleges to make sure they're aware that their scholarships are based on tribal citizenship, not race. Still, she is worried about what will happen if students lose access to scholarships that consider their Native identity. Quote, "The need is so high," Albert said. "As Native American people in this country, we have not had generational access to education. We haven't had generational wealth." Corey Tate Rivera, the executive director of a charter school in central New Jersey that's part of the College Achieve Public Schools Network, said for her students, even smaller scholarships of $500 to $1,000 that consider race or ethnicity can be the difference between a student being able to attend a college or not. Many of the students at her school are of Puerto Rican or Dominican descent. A student's skin color does not determine their ability to financially and emotionally be able to attend college. Scholarships based on people's skin color is just absolutely outrageous, and it's great to see it starting to end. Insight into diversity. Universities review legality of diversity scholarships. Prompted by the U.S. Supreme Court's banning of race-conscious admissions last summer, Some colleges and universities are considering the legality of certain diversity-focused scholarships. Though no current laws or court rulings ban protected class-specific scholarships, institutions are becoming wary as lawsuits are being filed against schools and companies for any DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion practices that show any preference based on race, gender, ethnicity, or sexual orientation. Given SCOTUS's past rulings, some legal experts argue that diversity scholarships could be the next DEI component on the chopping block. Two notable examples of this apprehension are the University of Iowa and Ohio University, both of which are currently reviewing their scholarships based on protected class status. A primary concern at UI is the wording and criteria for certain scholarships. For instance, the university's Advantage Iowa Award, which was previously reserved for first-year students from historically underrepresented populations, no whites allowed, was changed to a needs-based award for students from all backgrounds. That's appropriate. Similarly, OU administrators and faculty discussed the review of approximately 130 gift agreements tied to diversity scholarships, totaling nearly $450,000 at a faculty senate meeting. The awards have been paused for the 2024 to 2025 academic year due to Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost's interpretation of SCOTUS's ruling on race-conscious admissions, despite no explicit mention of scholarships within the analysis. However, Yost threatened legal action against university employees who make inappropriate hires based on race. At the meeting, several faculty defended race-conscious scholarships and urged the university to continue awarding them, given that doing so does not violate the law. Quote, "I am not questioning your ability to read the guidance from Yost," Narissa Young, an associate journalism professor at OU, told university administrators during the faculty senate meeting. "I am questioning the moral courage of this university, a place that is supposed to be a leader in challenging the status quo and fighting for better circumstances for all students." What do you mean all students? Literally, you're arguing for only certain students to benefit from scholarships. Not all students. What's moral about that? That's moral courage? People are becoming depraved. They're losing their minds. That's not moral. There's no morality there. Along with the likely impact that scholarship changes will have on enrollment, admissions, and student body makeup, it can also create tension between universities and their donors whose monetary gifts were intended to award funds to underserved students. But one of the things that's hard to navigate is that the donor has an intent, and so there's conflict between the legal imperative to open them up and the donor's intent, because if somebody gives the university money for a particular thing, you can't just change it without consulting the donor. According to Colin Gordon, UI's Department of History chair told the Daily Iowan. Well, I mean, what is she? She's the chair of the Department of History? I don't see a legal background there. There should be a legal question of it. If donors give money for certain purposes for certain things, perhaps those should be respected, but really perhaps that money should just be returned and the donor can do that directly on their own if they want to. Because the colleges have liability. They can't just discriminate against students based on race. Not anymore. Not since the Supreme Court decision. And in Texas, UT eliminates scholarship program for undocumented students following Texas's DEI ban. The Monarch Scholarship and a program supporting such students was scrapped, with officials citing Texas's ban on diversity, equity, and inclusion programming, as well as federal immigration law, literally giving scholarships to illegal aliens instead of other students that could really need it. I'm sure illegal aliens need scholarships too, but look, you have to take care of Americans with Americans' taxpayer dollars. What are you doing? Officials at the University of Texas at Austin eliminated a scholarship for undocumented students, cited the state's DEI ban and a federal immigration law, according to internal communications. The scholarship, which ranged from $500 to $1,000, was awarded annually and was part of the Monarch program, an initiative designed to support undocumented students. The program as a whole was also eliminated as of January 1st. But when I learned that they were taking away one of the very few scholarships for undocumented students, I was furious, said Lupe, an undocumented junior at UT, who also asked to be identified only by her middle name because of her immigration status. I guess she's here illegally. Quote, "It makes a difference. You're taking a very powerful tool away from us, and it's cruel." Well, you're not entitled to this money. What are you doing taking the money? Why are you in this country illegally? That's another whole story. University officials noted that the scholarship potentially violates Texas' new ban on diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts in state universities and colleges, according to internal messages obtained by the Daily Morning News. One message also references the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act of 1996. A new Texas law signed by Governor Greg Abbott in May requires the elimination of DEI offices in any programming based on race, color, ethnicity, gender identity, and sexual orientation. Senator Brandon Creighton, who authored the DEI ban legislation, could not be reached for comment. He did not mention immigration status specifically in the bill, and programming for undocumented students wasn't discussed during legislative debates. Multiple undocumented students who were part of Monarch told the news that they want to know why the university eliminated the program citing the DEI ban. They said they were told throughout the fall semester that the program would be safe because it's not based on race or gender, but it was based on illegal alien status, underrepresented, undocumented something? The Monarch program was created in 2016 by a graduate student but became institutionalized when the university hired an employee to coordinate the program in 2021. The initiative offered support systems for undocumented students and educational programming for the broader UT community. The problem is the discrimination in that you're giving people money from this program and that you're putting resources like that employee towards this Monarch program only for certain specific students of national origin. That's not allowed, and that's why it's being stopped. For example, students could access resource lists with scholarship, internship, and housing opportunities that don't exclude those who are undocumented. UT staff could attend Monarch workshops on how to best support these students. Tiffany Lewis, UT's Associate Vice President of the Division of Campus and Community Engagement, wrote in an email to students sharing the news that the Monarch program has been discontinued and all activities must cease. Lewis wrote that the elimination of the program is due to the DEI ban. Quote, I recognize the value and importance of the program not just as an educational initiative, but as a space that fostered understanding, empathy, and inclusivity, Lewis wrote. Your dedication, passion, and involvement in the program have always been sources of inspiration and pride. Under the federal law referenced in the internal communication with students, an alien who is not lawfully present in the United States shall not be eligible for any post-secondary education benefit unless a citizen or national of the United States is eligible for such a benefit. So there can be no special benefits that are not also offered to citizens of the United States. That sounds fair. However, similar scholarships for undocumented students exist in colleges and universities across the country, including at public universities in border states such as Arizona and California. The elimination of the program and scholarship came just weeks after Texas lawmakers approved new immigration proposals aimed at giving state and local law enforcement the ability to arrest people they believe to have entered the state illegally, which many advocates worry could complicate college access for such students. Well, not if they're here illegally, but yes, if they're here illegally, they could get in some big trouble. Advocates have said they worry cutting support for programs for undocumented students could lead to fewer of them staying in school and turning to industries that hire undocumented people to work in underpaid, unsafe conditions. Lupe said she wouldn't be a student at UT without the support of scholarships that don't exclude undocumented students. Most scholarships require citizenship, a social security number, or DACA status, she said, which most undocumented students who are college age don't have anymore since that program was changed by the Trump administration. But we were blindsided by the university, Lupe said. It's unjust and unfair to take that away from a student. Yeah, but every dollar that Lupe is getting is a dollar that could be going to a citizen of the country who is a student, regardless of their skin color or their gender or their sexual preferences. This is the problem. This whole concept of entitlements is warping people's perspectives on what they should expect and what is fair and what is not fair. Everyone needs to be treated equally. And if people are not in the United States legally and they're trying to make a life here, that's a very difficult thing for them to do. But it's also something that the actual citizens of the country really don't want. The majority of people do not want to have unlimited immigration in the United States. And these diversity programs that only give scholarships to people because they're of a certain skin color or a certain gender or a certain sexual preference, completely illegal, completely inappropriate. We can't have programs like that in this country where people are told, listen, you have the wrong skin color, so you're not entitled to something that someone else is only because they have a different skin color than you. Like in the first article where the student was saying, hey, I need to get $20,000 a year worth of benefits so I can be equal to a white person. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. Skin color does not guarantee income. It doesn't guarantee money. It doesn't guarantee opportunity. And even though certain people are getting scholarships now and diversity, equity, and inclusion has work opportunities and put some people into positions that they really shouldn't be in because they didn't earn it based on merit, it's not going to work out well for them in the future because merit is the only thing that really holds society together. If people don't earn their place, they're going to lose their place. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another story. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.